Australian holidaymakers in Indonesia have been shaken by a magnitude 7.1 earthquake, which has rocked the region early this morning. It struck deep in the sea north of Bali and Lombok Islands.
Have you seen the recent footage coming out of Indonesia? It's truly frightening and will send shivers down your spine. The video shows buildings collapsing, roads crumbling, and structures being torn apart. The screams of people and the sight of them running for their lives are truly heartbreaking. This catastrophic event has led to widespread destruction, and its profound impact has resulted in serious consequences. Join us as we uncover the huge earthquake in Indonesia that shocked everybody. Number 1. 2 shocks send Indonesia panicking. A powerful earthquake struck Indonesia. Boats were seen shaking vigorously, and water became restless because the Earth's epicenter was the country's waters, several tens of kilometers from the coast. It was a terrible experience for people at sea that day. The earthquake recorded a small tsunami, but no significant destruction. However, rescue services were made to be on standby to help people. The people must have thought the earthquake had come and gone, leaving no casualties. But what happened next was unexpected. A few hours after the first earthquake, an extremely powerful earthquake slammed Indonesia, shaking the country.
Tonight to Indonesia, first the deadly earthquake and tsunami, now word of that volcano now erupting. ABC's James Longman making it to the center of the devastation tonight.
The second earthquake came when the people were yet to recover from the first one. 2 earthquakes in less than 24 hours. The second one came with a relatively high magnitude, 7.2 on the Richter scale. The epicenter of the second earthquake was also in the sea, adding more misery to the people at sea. The tremor was so great that it was felt a great distance away from the epicenter, collapsing buildings and causing roads to crumble. The consequences of the second one were greater than the first, which was to be expected considering the difference in magnitudes. Residents took to the street, fleeing for their lives in panic. In some areas, it was recorded that water had risen above sea level. That's not good. Rising sea levels could only mean one thing in those circumstances: an impending tsunami. If this happened, it would be trouble for coastal people. For fear of a tsunami, the people in the coastal areas fled. Rescue services began to evacuate people from coastal areas with immediate promptitude. The number of casualties and exact extent of damage were yet to be ascertained. This did not mean that there were no deaths. People lost their lives in the 2 earthquakes that took Indonesia by storm. The head of state extended his condolences to the victims and declared that he was ready to provide all the necessary resources to assist the people. Emergency services were already at the scene, assisting the people and participating in earthquake relief operations. A disaster of such magnitude as a 7.2 scale earthquake was bound to affect more than just roads and houses. The government had to suspend communication and transportation in several places. While the people were drowning in their misery and trying to get over their hard luck, experts revealed their findings about the earthquake, which were nothing pleasant. The people were still trying to uncover the extent of the blow from nature after going through 2 successive earthquakes on the same day. And now they were being told to be careful because of more earthquakes. The expert asked the people to tread cautiously and follow security officers' instructions. The locals and nationals were not enough to deal with the aftermath of the disaster.
The earthquake occurred at 6 p.m. local time. The alert to the tsunami was given.
Thus, the United Nations and Red Cross expressed their readiness to provide humanitarian aid and support. Several countries also expressed their willingness to provide financial and material support in connection with the consequences of the earthquakes. Despite the extremely complex situation, residents have shown solidarity and unity by helping one another. Rescue operations continued and became increasingly complex because of the large coverage area of the earthquake's effects. It got to the point where local authorities could no longer handle the situation themselves. They promptly turned to national and international bodies for support. This experience was indeed a hard one to go through and was extremely disastrous. But do you know about the earthquake that killed thousands and displaced tens of thousands? Number 2. 2021 earthquake. Back in 2021, a 6.2 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia's northwest Sulawesi island, killing at least 35 people and injuring more than 600 in the early stages.
Well, a powerful earthquake in Indonesia has killed at least 35 people and injured hundreds more.
The earthquake left mass destruction, triggered landslides, and prompted fears of a tsunami, causing people to keep their fingers crossed. Thousands of people fled their homes as the powerful earthquake struck at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. The earthquake's epicenter was between Mamuju and Majene, two coastal cities. The rescuers launched a search operation, looking for people and bodies trapped under the rubble. The death toll rose significantly and was expected to increase as the rescue work continued. Chief of the country's Meteorology and Geophysics Agency, Dwi Korita Karnari, said at a press conference that there were 26 aftershocks at the initial stage, and more could be expected. The earthquake and aftershocks caused 3 landslides, power cuts, the collapse of hospitals and other buildings, and damage to bridges and the provincial governor's office. That whole week was a week of disaster for Indonesia. A 5.9 magnitude quake struck, resulting in damage to several buildings. A passenger plane crashed into the Java Sea, killing 62 people on board, and 24 people were killed in 2 landslides on Java Island. A video went viral on social media, showing a girl, identified as Angel, trapped under rubble with only her face visible through the ruins. The girl talked to rescuers, who said 3 others were trapped in the house. In the video, the girl tells the rescuers that another girl is trapped in the rubble. She said she could hear her voice, but she could not move. A rescuer asked if she was still breathing, and Angel replied that she was, but it wasn't easy. Mitra Hospital in Mamuju also collapsed in the earthquake, with at least 6 patients and their families trapped. Several bodies were found by rescuers among the wreckage of homes and buildings destroyed by the 6.2 magnitude earthquake, further raising the death toll. Thousands of people were left homeless, and more than 800 were injured in the earthquake, with more than half of those still receiving treatment for serious injuries, said Raditya Jati, a spokesperson for the National Disaster Mitigation Agency. 47 people were recorded to have died in Mamuju on Sulawesi Island, the worst affected area, and 9 in Majene, a neighboring regency. Jati confirmed that at least 415 houses in Majene were destroyed, and about 15,000 people were moved to evacuation shelters. Data continued to be collected on the area and those who fell victim. The military and disaster relief services had been working around the clock to restore the roads that surround the towns, the damage to which previously hindered rescue efforts, which only made matters worse. Jati later confirmed that heavy relief equipment had reached the hardest-hit city of Mamuju and the neighboring district of Majene on Sulawesi Island, where the quake hit. Many people in Sulawesi are still tormented by a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that devastated Palu City in 2018 and set off a tsunami that caused soil to collapse in a phenomenon called liquefaction. More than 4,000 people were killed, including many who were buried alive when buildings were swallowed in the falling ground. Number 3. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake of 2018. On September 28, 2018, a large earthquake struck the neck of a peninsula in Indonesia, with its epicenter in Sulawesi. The earthquake was located 70 kilometers from the provincial capital and felt as far away as Samarinda and Malaysia, emphasizing just how great the earthquake was. It was preceded by aftershocks, the largest with a magnitude of 6.1. After the main shock, a tsunami alert was issued. The combined effects of the earthquake and tsunami led to the deaths of about 4,140 people. This makes it the deadliest earthquake to strike the country since the 2006 Yogyakarta earthquake, as well as the deadliest earthquake worldwide in 2018. The Indonesian Agency for Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics confirmed that a tsunami had been triggered, with its height reaching an estimated maximum of 4 to 7 meters. It struck the settlements of Palu, Donggala, and Mamuju along its path. Number 4. Damages caused. The 6.1 magnitude foreshock happened at 3 p.m., while the 7.5 magnitude earthquake, a few hours later, caused severe destruction in Palu, Donggala, and Sigi, flattening hundreds of buildings. The death toll was estimated at 4,040 as a result of the disaster, and more than 10,000 others were injured, of which 4,012 were very serious. Reports had it that more than 70,000 houses were destroyed, forcing tens of thousands of people to live in evacuation shelters and tents. In the capital of central Sulawesi, one mosque and a major section of the Annapurna Hospital collapsed. One of the oldest shopping centers in Palu, the Tatura Mall, collapsed, trapping dozens of people. An 8-story hotel, identified as the Roa Roa Hotel, housing numerous hotel guests, collapsed, trapping them within. The Ministry of Education and Culture made a rough assessment that showed that nearly 3,000 schools had been damaged by the earthquake and tsunami, and more than 100,000 students and 20,000 teachers were affected. According to Minister of Education and Culture Muhajir Effendi, at least 1 year would be needed to rebuild and repair the damaged schools in the affected areas. The earthquake impacted Indonesia, and for a long time it will not be forgotten. But how can anything about earthquakes in Indonesia be complete without a brief recap of the earthquake that left the strongest impression on people? Number 5. The strongest earthquake in Indonesia. A massive tsunami with waves up to 30 meters high, known in some countries as the Boxing Day tsunami because it happened after the Boxing Day holiday, devastated various communities along the surrounding coasts of the Indian Ocean. An estimated 227,198 people were reported to have died in 14 countries, in what is easily one of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded in history. The direct results of the earthquake caused major disruptions to living conditions and commerce, especially in the coastal provinces of surrounding countries. It was the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Asia, the most powerful earthquake in the 21st century, and at least the third most powerful earthquake ever recorded worldwide since the beginning of modern seismographs in the 1900s. It caused the entire planet to vibrate and remotely triggered earthquakes as far away as Alaska. Its epicenter lies between Simulue and mainland Sumatra. The plight of the affected people and countries prompted a worldwide humanitarian response, which raised more than $14 billion in donations. The tsunami also caused widespread damage and deaths as far as the east coast of Africa. The furthest recorded damage was attributed to the tsunami at Royals, close to Cape Town, 8,000 kilometers from the epicenter. According to relief agencies, 1/3 of the dead appeared to be children. This was because of the dense proportion of children in the populations of many affected regions, and because children were the least able to resist being overcome by the raging waves. It was reported that as many as 4 times more women than men were killed in some regions because they were waiting on the beach for the fishermen to return and looking after their children in the houses. States of emergency were declared in other countries besides Indonesia, which was the center of the earthquake. The United Nations estimated at the outset that the relief operation would be the costliest in human history. Kofi Annan, the UN Secretary General, stated that reconstruction of the damaged areas would likely take 5 to 10 years. Governments and non-governmental organizations feared that the final death toll might double as a result of diseases, triggering a pandemic and prompting a massive humanitarian response. Why are there so many earthquakes in Indonesia? Indonesia, home to more than 260 million people, is frequently hit by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis because of its location on the Ring of Fire, an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the Pacific Basin. Looking for a phone case that can withstand anything life throws at it? Look no further than our tough phone cases. Made with the same strength and durability as some of the world's toughest buildings, this case will keep your phone safe and secure through even the most intense earthquakes. And with our New Year's sale, there's never been a better time to buy. Don't miss out. Get your tough phone case today and protect your phone like never before. Grab yours now by clicking on your screen or clicking on the first link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos.